Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be introducing a new series of videos called Deck Detective, where I plan to investigate the key strengths and weaknesses of various decks in Vanguard 0, as well as teach you when I get the chance. But, without further ado, please enjoy the video. So, the first deck I decided to investigate was Aquaforce, specifically TransGlory. TransGlory is a deck that seems like it would be really good. The break ride on paper is a really good break ride. Let's get into the episode and see how it stacks up. So, TransGlory. TransGlory is obviously one of the key cards, being in the title of the deck and all. This break ride is one of the stronger ones, providing a lot of pressure in a lot of different situations, because hand manipulation is good in any deck, but when combined with cards like Maelstrom or its glorified Cross Ride, you can lead yourself to having a strong control of the flow of the game. Now, while not being a one-shot machine like FX Buster or Dauntless Drive Dragon, TransGlory does have its own strengths, which are amplified by the cards you choose to combine it with. Speaking of which, Glory Maelstrom. Now, anyone who has played Vanguard 0 for an extended period of time recently will know Glory Maelstrom will steal games from you right under your feet. Glory excels when you as the player are keeping track of your opponent's cards in hand, knowing when and when they don't have grade 3s and PGs. Now, against decks like Spikes and Kagero, where more often than not they're searching a perfect guard, you can push them to 5 before you ride Glory, then ride it and use Basil and Diamantes to get rid of that PG that they searched, and then swing with a 2-crit Vanguard. Glory also, with the introduction of break rides, has the added benefit of potentially sniping that grade 3 ride from the opponent when you start stalling them out. Now, in ladder you don't really see many people stalling you at 3, but with the addition of self damages, you can ride Glory over Maelstrom and get an early ultimate break off and steal that Descendant or Dote. Basil and Diamantes are staples of the Aquaforce clan. Only certain builds of the clan forego these cards for other options. They are key in getting 4 attacks and are required for some of the more important cards to function, and also help with pressuring damage, being able to ignore Incepts for a single counterblast, and then swap with the card behind them to then deal with an Incept. Now, strengths. TransGlory thrives when the opponent is pushed early. Your break ride turn will either push them over the edge, or it will discard 3 cards from their hand, a grade 3, a Sentinel, and another non-Sentinel card. And 3 cards is a big change in card advantage at key points of the game. Now, if this turn doesn't win you the game, you should be in a good position to keep up the advantage and keep pushing them until you eventually win. Another advantage is that unlike regular Aquaforce decks, it doesn't really care about the 4th attack, so the game isn't over if you don't draw Basil or Diamantes, and you can potentially get back into the swing of things with a good break ride turn. Like a non-PG? So it, means that, okay, well, you got a draw trigger, so he may survive now. Like, if both of these are grade 3s, and this is a PG, he may survive. I'd be very annoyed if that happens. Let's find out, I guess. I mean, we do it anyway. Okay, grade 2. Let's just hope the other card isn't a grade 3. And a PG. Because we hit the middle card, so this is the card he drew. Okay, thank God. God, the pause was like, oh my God, did he actually top deck it? Moving on to weaknesses. So, through my own experiences, the weaknesses are quite severe. It seems good on paper, but in practice it lacks the effectiveness to support its own game plan. To really take advantage of the break ride turn, you want your opponent to already be at 3 or 4 damage, which unfortunately the deck doesn't really have any decent cards or card pool to obtain it without risking the later turns being less powerful. If you're pushing them on grade 2, then the turn after they are forced to attack your Interceptors, and then you're left with a half-baked board and a small hand because you just pushed out. Now, presuming you weren't lucky enough to get defensive draws, of course. So now, you've ridden TransGlory, and you just have to try and edge out this turn with the small amount of cards you have, hoping that they don't heal you, and you can push for Glory the next turn after that. Now, if you don't push them on grade 2, however, and instead wait for grade 3, they may build up a big enough hand so that, to the point where discarding 3 cards isn't really going to hurt them. So you just have to wait, keep attacking with 2 Interceptors, getting rid of theirs, and hoping you survive long enough for Glory to make an impact. Well, I've tried a few different ways, tried a few different cards, and I've attempted to fix the weaknesses by focusing on the grade 2 turn. by upping the number of accelerated commands, I increase the power of my grade 2s so that they hit those magic numbers, of course hoping for no defensives. Eric is obviously the starter. It's basically the starter for every Act Force deck that I ever build, and it's good because it just increases consistency of finding those transcores or glories. Now, I've also chosen to include Algos in the list. While I'm not a huge fan on the on 4th hit cards with Algos, Valera and Callistra, as they won't usually be hitting on the 4th due to being in Maelstrom always taking the 4th attack, but on a grade 2 rush turn or later on in the game, with the right combination, Algos can help to really keep a good hand size while pushing the opponent's damage. Now in practice this has been an interesting option. The problem I face is that the grade 2 turn needs too many cards to actually hit 4 attacks, let alone them all be impactful and actually deal damage. So it still needs some further investigation to effectively push early without having to rely on draws to rebuild the hand. So here's my list. This is the list I have currently landed on. Now, I've chosen to go for 4 Basil and 4 Algos, as they are cards I need to see for the grade 2 turn, which means I need to see them by turn 2. So, playing more copies means I'll see them more often, right? Well, Vanguard Zero has other plans, but that's just luck. Also, it's pretty obvious I'd rather play 4 TransGlory and 1 Maelstrom, but as you saw in the pack opening, let's not concern ourselves with why I've got 3 TransGlory. Now lastly, I put my heels on Diamantes, as they are the only grade 3 I see that if I see in my opening hand, I'm wanting to put back. TransGlories and Glories I want to keep as their combo pieces. Diamantes are good if you draw them, but I do not want to be searching them or keeping them in my hand, so therefore they land on the heel trigger. So that's my opinion on TransGlory Glory. I think overall, for ladder it's not a great deck. I think it's too sort of specific for a ladder climbing deck, but obviously you can play anything you want on ladder really. And in tournaments it's seen success obviously, but I think generic Maelstrom is better as it requires less specific cards and is just more flexible than TransGlory Glory. But feel free to leave comments in the comment section. Tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if you found a perfect build, and of course you can join the Discord server down below and tell me all about it. Well, thank you for watching the first episode of Deck Detective. For editing, I realise there's a few things I want to change about it, so the next one will probably look a lot different. I think it's going to be a little bit more unscripted, still like key talking points and sort of more of a format than a script really. Because editing, I've realised that I'm not really a huge fan of how I've done it this time, but hopefully the next one will be a lot better in my opinion. But I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, because I won't be a YouTuber if I didn't remind you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.